Hello LEGO fans, Bricks Unbound here with a LEGO City update. The first LEGO City update actually in my new LEGO room that has allowed me to have enough space to have a LEGO City again. Haven't had one for probably nearly 8 years at this point. It was before I started building Hogwarts. I would have had one at that point, but it has obviously changed a lot. It's gained a lot more space. You'll see some buildings that were around before. I'll try to point those out as we walk through it here, but there's a lot of new stuff as well, and a lot of things that are planned. So let's start taking a walk through here. Starting at this end of the city. So this area right here is a school campus. So we've got a main building in the back there, a dorm off to this side, and then a gymnasium over here. That main building in the back is heavily based off of the design by Let's Go Lego Brick. I saw that build on Instagram. I have added an additional floor to it. I've added a little wing on each end of it, just so it would stand by itself a little bit better instead of having to be in between other buildings. But I can't take credit for the overall idea. Let's Go Lego Brick on Instagram. They're the ones who designed the LEGO Ideas Orient Express set. I don't think there's any instructions for this specifically. I just based it off of the pictures I saw. But I could be wrong there. But either way, highly recommend following Let's Go Lego Brick on Instagram. They have just fantastic designs in general. This dorm building here, this dormitory, is based off of the Heights Alliance building from the My Hero Academia manga and anime, I suppose. It's not an exact replica of it, but it is certainly heavily inspired by it. Although it does look a bit plain next to the main building, I still like the look of it. I might do further modifications, move slightly further away from that design just to make it a bit wider. Right now I just have a big green area to the right of it, which isn't necessarily the worst thing ever. Maybe I should put something else there instead of taking up the space by expanding the dorm. But I think it'd look good to have it to be a little bit wider and maybe slightly shorter so it doesn't tower over the main building quite as much. A little courtyard area in the middle, and then the gymnasium over here. Doesn't have a roof yet, still figuring out how I want to do that. I definitely think it'll be some kind of curved approach on top. Just need to figure out my final design there. Interior is empty right now except for the student body laying there with things I'm going to use to put together the students for this building. I am currently calling it UA, another My Hero Academia reference, but in this case it stands for Unbound Academy. I think I'm going to have to change out the colors of this sign though. It's just a little hard to read the dark blue. Maybe I'll switch it for a brighter red or something. Sidewalks out in front being worked on. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want the flower situation to look out front. I don't think these little pots look bad. I just need to get enough of them to go all the way along there, break up the gray of the roads a little bit. I don't have these pushed down right now because I might need to pull out the middle section there with the signage. And there's a fun little feature that I've added in here where when it's after hours or they need the campus closed, you can actually push down on something and it'll extend out these little barricades, which I think is fun. I think it was cool. I enjoy just fitting that in behind everything. But in front of the school campus will be a residential area. I have a Creator 3-in-1 house from many years ago just sitting there at the moment. Need to build up a couple other houses to go here, do some modifications on there because it's very plain around the back right now. This corner here I'm planning on building up a modification of the recently released Castle Bed and Breakfast from the Friends line. I think if I get a couple of those once they are discounted a bit, I can combine those together to make a nice little spot where people can stay the night and then also get some breakfast the next morning and look out over the rest of the city skyline and the water area there. Back here is just a row of townhouses, which I think is what's going to stay here. Number 12 Grimald Place there is currently just the official set I'm planning on modifying that out to a full 32 by 32 building. The front facade of it will look very similar to that, but I think that the full interior I'm going to just dedicate to a mock of number 12 Grimald Place so I can fit some more of the rooms and things in there. I will unfortunately result in losing the feature of the building sliding behind the other ones, which is really good looking. It works quite well. Good job to the designer of that. But that's my plan there. And on the end there is a little Minecraft shop that I built many years ago as well. It needs to be put on a mills plate. Maybe I'll do some heavy modifications to it, or I'll even move to a different area of the city. As we move down here, we have a lot of open, empty space, as well as a bridge. So this is a modified, modified, I guess is accurate, but I definitely widened out and doubled up the official, I think it was called the Web Warrior Bridge Battle from quite a while ago, 2012, 2014, sometime in that era. I need to make the supports here quite a bit taller, because when I lengthened it out and made it wider, now it looks like it got squished. So it just needs to get built up a little bit more. But I liked that set a lot. Got the second one on a pretty good discount. So combine those together. I've got the fishing store sitting here at the moment. It is very crowded looking there, but I was thinking, I like the set, and there could even be a fun little story about why it's so close to the bridge. Like maybe the city was saying, hey, we're going to build this giant bridge here. We need your shop moved. You can't keep working out of there. We need the space. And what's the guy's name? Anton, right? Yeah, Anton's bait shop. He was like, no, I'll never leave my land. And they decided, okay, fine, and just built the bridge beside him. That's my fun little headcanon for it, at least. The other side has a walkway built here that currently goes all the way down to where there eventually will be more building, or more terrain, I guess, most likely. But I really like this walkway design. Sorry for the trouble focusing there on it. Not sure what's going on. But it's a fun little design, although it is quite dangerous without a handrail on those steps. So be careful, minifigs, that you don't fall down into the water here. Back behind it, my plan is this will be more of a nature, outdoors type area. Probably with a hill of some kind, not really a full mountain, but in the middle that'll have a waterfall that comes down into a water area there, then another waterfall that goes down into this main bay area. The other option that I considered was actually lowering that table down to be the same height as this, and then having this be more of a river that goes through, because then I could have a couple of islands or something on it. But either way, I want it to be more of an open nature area. If I go with my plan of more waterfalls, there'll be a little campground down here represented by these tents that are just sitting here. And then some hiking paths and things that would go up and over the hill, and then probably connect out down by where that Minecraft shop is in the back there to get over to the school campus area. But now we are at the heart of the city, the big downtown area, which is definitely under construction. And that's the joy of Lego cities, right? Is that stuff's kind of always under construction and lots of unfinished buildings. In this block here, as you can see, it's just a bunch of the official modular buildings. There's some other things that are just sitting back in behind right now, but that was just due to needing a spot to set things. They're not going to stay there by any means. And I really like this particular view as you look down the main street here. You have the Hall of Justice mock at the far end, and all these flowering trees in the middle, which just are those the cherry blossom sets, as is, except that I took off the bottom half essentially of the stems so that they weren't quite as crazy tall. And they do the part here. I wanted some color here to kind of contrast with the somewhat more muted colors of modular buildings. And those do the job. I think they need a few more branches on them though, because they look kind of barren. If you start looking too close at them, you see a lot of brown. So maybe I'll do some modifications to those eventually as well. Now we'll move to our back row skyscrapers here. So I have a mock of the Roxanne building. The front facade of it, well, maybe not even front, but the side that's currently facing us, it does look fairly flat, which isn't necessarily the worst thing ever, I guess. A lot of skyscrapers do look pretty flat, but I need to add or decide what all I want on the interior there. Right now it's empty, which is okay with using those trans black bricks for the window pieces, kind of like I have with the Octan Tower to the right of it. But I like the look of it back there. It does a nice job filling up that corner. And I was just so happy that I managed to get the full Roxanne name to fit in the width of 16 studs that I just knew I had to have it on a building somewhere. And then in front of that, that shorter, it's still 5 stories, but that black building there is a Ultra Agents headquarters. So Ultra Agents was a theme that was coming out at the time that I was ending my dark age and getting back into Lego. So this is one of the first building mocks that I put together back in the day. And it actually has a full interior. There's been videos from many years ago on that, and I still like it. I still like the design, so it's going to stay in the city. Maybe I'll even add more floors to it eventually. And then next to that, we have the official Daily Bugle set, the only difference being that I put it on a Mills plate, and then my Octan Tower mock behind there also does not have an interior at all, but I do actually still really like the exterior details there, especially the silly little gargoyles on top that Batman is standing on. They don't make any sense to put on that building, but I thought it was funny, so there we are. The Hall of Justice in the middle there is maybe looking a little blocky, but I like how it breaks up the skyline. I do plan, of course, on continuing work on the skyline, because right now it turns out I inadvertently put some kind of city ordinance on building height, and they're all approximately the same size, which I didn't realize until I had them all sitting here together, that there's not a whole lot of height variation, so I need to make some changes overall on that. But back to the Hall of Justice. I like this as a little park area to, again, break up the skyline and all of these skyscrapers. Little pond in the middle, as you'd expect, and then some splashes of green for the trees, which do all have benches down in front of them, but a good spot to hang out in the city. Over to the right here, we've got a bunch of other mocks. The back left there, that's the Chancellor's Tower, which was a Star Wars themed skyscraper that I was working on. I think I do need to essentially completely rebuild the exterior, though. I still like some of the interior details. The Chancellor's office from the Palpatine's arrest set of 2012 is what the top floor is. I like having that at the top of the building. So whenever I rebuild that, I'm still going to keep it Star Wars themed, I think. That'll still be the top floor. The design of it, though, is just a bit boring, so I just need to figure out a better way to do that, make it a little bit more detailed. In front of that is the Avengers Tower mock that I made by combining Avengers Tower sets from the first Avengers Tower sets that came out a long time ago. Got a bunch of them on clearance at one point, combined them together. I think the interior details actually still hold up pretty well on that, but the exterior proportions are obviously off, because when I was building it, I had certain things I wanted to have on the interior and prioritize that instead of the exterior look of it. So that'll be replaced probably by the official Avengers Tower set. Once I get that, I'll build a custom base for it and set that up in the city. It'll probably end up on the back row somewhere. Moving over from there, this colorful, half-finished, not even half-finished, but this colorful building here is going to be a Lego store, a very large one. So the bottom floor will be the store proper, and up above will be maybe some Lego like designer offices and more of a Lego house type design where there'll be, maybe I'll try to mock up some dinosaur sculpture to have in the more windowed area over here and have some kids running around and playing in there. It should just be a fun, colorful building eventually. Behind it right now, let me walk around so we can see a little bit better, is a very old building that I was working on, never got anywhere close to done. It's maybe a third, maybe half of the height it would eventually be. But the plan there is I'm going to do some modifications and make it look more like the Wayne Tower, like the Wayne Enterprises building from the Dark Knight trilogy, which was a large tan building kind of like that. But right now, all my tan parts are going to Hogwarts, so it is on a long hold. But I do want to have that in there, if nothing else, for just another DC reference other than just the Hall of Justice. And a bigger, older style skyscraper I think would look good in the city as well. And here is, you can probably tell, it's a hospital, which is obvious, not just because of the logo there, but because it uses the Lego City Hospital colors that just scream, this is a Lego toy hospital, which is fine. Not everything has to be super realistic looking. I mean, there's Avengers Tower and the Daily Bugle exploding in the city. It doesn't have to all be the same style or super serious, but this has a not complete interior, but a fairly detailed one right now. And I haven't done a separate video on this, but this has been a relatively recent build, kind of like the Avengers Tower over there. I got a bunch of hospital sets on a pretty good discount right before it was retired, so combined the parts from them to make that building. And I'm pretty happy with it. Now let's move down to this block here. Right now, there's barely anything that's complete on it. I have the Friends Hotel here, which I still think looks pretty good. I like the front facade of it. It has a relatively detailed interior on a couple of floors, but the upper floors don't have all of the beds and everything put in there yet. I also haven't gotten it up on a Mills plate yet. So I think what I'm going to do is when I do Mills plate it, I am going to narrow it by 4 studs or so, because right now it goes all the way back to the edge of its base plate, which isn't really ideal for having other buildings behind it. It actually has some things that stick out a little bit and run into things. So that needs a little bit of work, but I'm still planning on keeping it in the city. On this side of that is what will be a modification of the Chinese New Year restaurant that came out. I have a second copy of it. I just need to find the time to combine the parts from the two and make it into a nice little corner restaurant building. Down from there is a Lego store that's just holding space right now to remind me that a 16 wide building will fit there, because I'll harvest parts from that to put into the main Lego store back there, and I'll be able to put something completely different there. And then on the corner here is the Friends Community Kitchen set, I believe is what that's called. There's a taller community center set. I might have those names confused, but that fits on top of that. So I'll eventually, once I find that on a good discount, I'll get it, maybe get a couple of it if it's a good enough discount, and combine this into a full corner modular building. But now let's walk around to the front of the block, which I've been kind of avoiding because it's a very messy area right now, but that has big potential. So on this side, I have a mock of the flower shop, and then I have a mock of the furniture store. Those both came in the same set. Again, found them on a good discount, so got 2 copies of it, combined them together to make some modified versions of them. And then my plan is this whole area back behind, in between all the buildings, is going to be a open air shopping center. So there'll be at least 2 layers of shops. The bottom floor, or the bottom layer, there'll be a grocery store here for sure, but I think the rest of them are going to be more non-food related shops, which are actually hard to find in Friends sets. They really like their pastries and sugary sweets and things in those sets. But the bottom floor will have the grocery store, because that's something everybody in the city might need to go to. And then a bunch of non-food shops. And the floor up above that, I'm planning on having the restaurants. I've collected quite a few Friends shops and restaurants in general over the years, and I want to do something with them. So I think an open air mall area will look pretty good for that, even though it does not look good at the moment because they're just kind of sitting there. Then back behind that, there'll be another exit out where you can go straight across the street to the Lego store to continue your shopping spree. Or on the left side here will be a theater, like a live performance theater, which right now has the Andrea's Theater School sitting there. The backside of which is very colorful and kind of ugly looking, but I'll do some modifications there. And then the other side here is this, I hesitate to even call it a building because it's not even really a facade, but this will be facing that way, obviously, but it will be a kind of outdoorsy store, so more of a like a Cabela's type idea, which you can obviously tell because it has a kayak on the wall right now, even though the rest of the store doesn't have walls. But that's what I want to do there. And now let's take a look at this block here. I have to hold my phone a little bit farther away from me, so apologies if the sound goes a little wonky, but I've got the official Sanctum Sanctorum set there on the right, and then a mock of a AIM building. The idea being that on the right there, where there's all the transparent windows, would be like a showroom type area. I think they're going to make little mechs and robots and things that can help you with your daily lives and are definitely not going to turn evil under AIM's control and try to take over the city. Definitely not going to do that. The left side of it there with the, I guess, hexagons on it in yellow, that's the factory area. I don't know if you can quite see MODOK, and there might be too dark, but MODOK is in there overseeing everything. I think I'm going to rebuild. I think I am going to destroy and rebuild this, though, just because taking up 64 studs in width is a little bit more than I'd like to dedicate to a single building. It'd be nice if it could just be 32 by 32. But I like the overall theory here. It's definitely a rough draft of what I'm envisioning eventually, but I like it. I just thought it was a fun little thing to have in the city and adds to the list of evil organizations that are hiding within the city. And then at the far end there, speaking of evil, is the Vil Inn mock, which is a fully detailed, complete modular mock, but unfortunately I didn't build that on a mills plate, so I need to do that. And kind of like with this Friends Hotel, it's a little too deep. But if I remember right for this one, I think I just made a mistake when I designed it and just accidentally had it be a couple studs too wide, because it actually overhangs past the back side of the base plate, so I can't have anything pushed up against it, which was, again, just a design error that I didn't think about when I made it. So need to narrow it slightly, which I should be able to do. It'll take a lot of work, though, because, like I said, it's fully detailed interior with like tiled floors and everything, so I'm gonna have to that'll take a fair bit of time, dedicate a couple days probably, because I don't want to forget how things have been built in it. I just need to narrow it a little bit. And then behind everything here is the official Diagon Alley set. I don't have the Gringotts set yet. Once I do get it, it'll go down here in this 32 by 32 space where right now the old version of the Sanctum Sanctorum is sitting. I need to part that out as well. And then the plan is up front here. I don't know why the Green Goblin, another Green Goblin, is sitting here, but he is. But I'm planning on doing a mock of the Leaky Cauldron that'll go in this area, unless LEGO beats me to it and puts out an official set of the quality of the same quality as the rest of Diagon Alley. Then I can just put that there, presumably, depending on how big it is. But I like having Diagon Alley just tucked back in behind everything here. The AIM building doesn't really fit here, so once I shrink that down, it'll become more skyscraper-esque and go somewhere in this downtown area. Because again, the joy of LEGO cities is that nothing has to stay where it's at as long as you're building it in modular fashion. And that gets us all the way through the city. This was a fairly lengthy video, and I don't know how often I'll do these updates. It really depends on how often I guess I actually work on the city, because right now I'm motivated to be working on Hogwarts down here at the other end of the room. So that's where a lot of my time and parts budget are currently going at the moment. But I do like the city. It's been a nice break to occasionally just get to put together a new building for the city while I'm waiting on parts for Hogwarts to arrive, or if I'm just feeling a little burnt out of looking at giant tan buildings all the time. So I've had gotten a lot of joy out of working on this again. And I hope that you have enjoyed this video and you keep coming back for more updates. Thank you for watching.